After a big victory in South Carolina, Joe Biden is resurgent and is now looking like a solid contender again. In a way, this wasn't all that surprising. First of all, it was known on the political front that he was likely to do well in South Carolina. The question was how well, how much would he break Bernie's momentum, and he answered that question with a big win. With Mercury retrograde through the whole thing, you could almost guess that there might be a change of tone. Bernie gained ascendancy and became the de facto leader right as Mercury was going retrograde. And this often tells you that what you're seeing isn't exactly the way it's going to turn out. On the other hand, we still have Mercury retrograde until the March 11th primaries, and so we need to wait even more to see how this is going to shake out. Biden has a very strong chart. There are lots and lots of really positive things happening here, and to me, one of the most significant, which I believe I stated in a prior video around these progressions, the progressed Mercury happens to be in the very same degrees as this cluster of transiting Capricorn planets. And the reason that's really significant is because Mercury is the lord of his zenith MC area, his career. And moreover, this Mercury only recently went direct by progression. It had been retrograde for many, many years, and it just turned around in the last year or so in these very degrees. This, I think, is indicative of something very big happening in his career. So all of this is good, and the planets in Capricorn sextile his Scorpio planets, which is very supportive. The question mark becomes the Jupiter-Saturn Pluto, but especially Pluto-Saturn opposing his natal Jupiter. And my theory was always that because Jupiter is Lord of the Ascendant and it's well placed in its exaltation, if you're going to hit a planet, that's the planet to hit. And these people that run for a big office job like this tend to always have at least one or two major dynamic aspects, as well as supportive, harmonious aspects to facilitate their quest. Of course, the counterpoint is that Jupiter is also the ruler of the ascendant, and when you hit the ruler of the ascendant, you're always attacking a very vulnerable point. And notice that when Saturn was tightly opposing it during the first half of February and into about the third week is when he most suffered, because it was directly opposed. And this is something I've often seen, that Saturn is probably the toughest planet in the group in terms of making things hard for you. But Pluto is probably a close second. Question is, can he get around this Pluto? Because Pluto is going to be gaining strength as we move toward the station that it makes in late April, when it's directly opposed this Jupiter. Now, if he's able to somehow gather the power of Pluto, which can be done, then he's going to be totally fine, because the rest of the chart, to my mind, is very, very positive. But this Pluto has to remain as a question mark, because keep in mind that in his chart, it does trine the ascendant. That's a positive angle for sure. But it also squares Mars, and Mars is in the 12th, rules the 12th, rules the 5th. It's pretty clear that this man has had a pretty unfortunate time in regard to his children, which is what Mars rules and what Pluto is squaring. And when it comes to elections, one of the criticisms he's received, which is fair, is he's had zero luck when he's gone for the big prize. He's done relatively well in that he's been in Congress many years and he's had a long career. But in terms of the big wins, they never came. So this leaves it a little bit up in the air, given that Pluto is a pretty challenging planet. And the question is it going to stop him dead in his tracks, or can he somehow get around it and avail himself of the strengths of all the other positions in this astrological picture.